Okay, and Mr. Porter, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay, as we stand today, let's remember this is a month of Thanksgiving, which is always pretty exciting. So as we say the pledge today, I would ask you to please sort of give an extra thanks in your heart for whatever is important to you. Veterans Day is also approaching. My esteemed colleague, Mr. Howell, is a veteran, so sir, I recognize you. Do we have any other veterans in the room? If we do, please raise your hand. We need to rev up that DEI engine and hire some more veterans. Well, please join me as we say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. I'm feeling formal today. Okay, and now we will do, well, Anna will do our roll call.
Okay, let's see. It looks like Mrs. Carty is absent and Mrs. Daney is absent. So we'll go to Mrs. DeWord. Here. Ms. Ehrman. Here. Mrs. Frost.
Here.
Mr. Howell. Thank you. And Mr. Porter. Thank you.
Thank you. Changes to the agenda. I have one. Item number 25, which is the reminder about our next meeting, which this time will be held on Friday, December 8th. I'm taking executive privilege and moving that to 2:15 instead of a 2 o'clock starting time. That happens to be the day that the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara has their annual community leaders lunch, and that's something I need to be at. I need to be there for sure. So that'll give me enough time to do that and then get here for the board meeting. So you'd all make note of that. Any objections to a 15-minute delay? Okay, and now comments. I would like to start by just reminding everyone that we have a wonderful celebration this Saturday night, November 4th. Oh my gosh. The Salute to Teachers, the annual Salute to Teachers, which is always so well presented and such a lovely evening. I hope that you have made your reservations and that you are going, or you can join me online to watch the live broadcast, which I will be doing from Santa Maria.
Go back one.
Sure.
The board meeting's on, you said December 8th, I think. It's December 7th is Thursday.
Yeah.
So
But our board meeting's on Friday in December on the 8th.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. And it's 2:15 and okay.
Yes. Okay. Where was I? Oh, the Salute to Teachers. So I hope that if you're not going to be able to be there in person, that you join me online to watch it. And do we have comments from other board members? Michelle?
Yes, thank you. I have two items. The California County Superintendents and California Board of Education Executive Committee met this morning. We fine-tuned a joint presentation for the county board and county superintendents at the presentation for a presentation at the CSBA conference, which is going to be held at the end of this month. And CCBE, the county board representatives, are from Monterey, Ventura, and San Mateo. And the county superintendents who will be co-presenting is from Placer County and Santa Clara County. And also today was the third annual California Reading Summit, which was an online all-day summit. It's the literacy leadership call to action. Almost 800 people were in attendance, school board members, county board members, district and county superintendents, teachers, and parents were in attendance. And looking at the CASB scores, our student performance and progress results, that's a starting point for all of us. Some parents are not aware or have come to terms on how difficult it is to read for their child. Balanced literacy is not working, and we continue to raise awareness of the science of reading. Speakers at the summit, which were excellent today, were Emily Hanford, the award-winning journalist for The Creator Sold a Story. The Right to Read film is also available for a community screening with subtitles. And there also at the summit was Corinne Reaver, whose work is featured in this Right to Read documentary. Also, Dr. Linda Darling Hammond, president of the State Board of Education, also spoke. So it was a great conference, and I learned a lot. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you. Mr. Porter? Ms. Herman?
Yes, I just want to say quickly thank you for mentioning the salute to teachers. I would have the pleasure of going last year, and it was wonderful. And I'm really excited to be able to go this year. And then also on October the 26th, I had the pleasure of attending the Explore Ecology Sustainable Table with Superintendent Salcido. And it was a really wonderful experience just to see the community support for that amazing organization and learn really about all the different programs that they do and how they really work on connecting children to nature through gardens that they have and beach cleanup. So that was really great that I was able to attend.
Thank you. Mr. Howell? Okay. And do we have any public comment today? None? Okay. We'll move right along to our first action item then, please. Number 8, we're recommending adoption of a resolution regarding board member excused absence. And it comes to us recommended by the superintendent to adopt the resolution for the excused absence of board member Maggie Daney and due to illness. And we need a roll call vote. Do I need a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Now we'll do the roll call.
Okay, Mrs. DeWord,
Aye.
Ms. Ehrman. Aye. Mrs. Frost,
Aye.
Mr. Howell,
Aye.
Mr. Porter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And now item number 9, which is a presentation of the Santa Barbara County Workforce Development Board. And I would like Susan to please make the introduction to that.
Very gladly. Thank you. Good afternoon to our county board members and good afternoon to our guests today. And so wonderful to be here with all of you and to see you, and thank you for this opportunity to have this presentation. So the County Workforce Development Board, my goodness, there are so many areas of focus for the Workforce Development Board that I want to say actually have a lot of complements to what we're doing in our Career Technical Education Department. Our Career Technical Education Department Director is here, new for the board. I wanted to make sure that you know Sarah Cameron, who's here with us at SBCEO. And she's here to support this wonderful presentation by the Executive Director of the Workforce Development Board, Luis Servin. Luis is here with Julie Smedley, and they're both going to come and approach the podium. And what we were hoping to share with the board today, or what they will share with you, are some of the focus areas for the Workforce Development Board. Luis is somewhat relatively new as an executive director, so great opportunity for him to meet you and you to meet him. So with that, thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thanks for the invitation. Again, my name is Luis Servin. I'm the executive director for the Workforce Development Board. I've been the director for actually a year, Halloween. That was my first day. First year, we've been focusing a lot on the restructure of the department. We had a lot of vacancies that even we, as the board, have been struggling trying to fill. I'm here with our senior program analyst. It's a fancy title. We just gave her the title not too long ago. Julie is my right-hand person in regards to all the programs. So a lot of the things within the board, before I go into my presentation, that we've done in the last couple of years, we've gone from having 2 yearly funded programs to having 12.
Yeah,
13.
at our max it was 18 at one point during COVID.
And that has been because of grants, competitive grants that we've applied to, and in part it's been Julie, the voluntold grant writer for the department. And because of that, we have been able to expand a lot of the programs and services that we provide. to young adults to adult job seekers, and we wanted to kind of provide a snapshot of some of the work that we've been doing. So I know we have a PowerPoint. Okay, if we go to the next slide, please. Oh, actually, I have a clicker, right? It works. So we're gonna try to condense a 2-hour presentation that we usually give to our members and to our stakeholders to 10, 15 minutes. So we're gonna talk super fast, but this is the areas that we're gonna cover today. We're gonna focus a lot on the programs and special projects that we run within the county, but we wanted to give you a overall kind of perspective overview of the department. To continue talking about me a little bit, I actually started my career 10 years ago as a case manager for South County. So I used to attend the partner education meetings here. So Julie was asking me when we were walking up the stairs if I had been here before, and it just deja vu. I had 10 years ago. Oh, there you go. So the Workforce Development Board, the first part of our presentation is just talking about some of the things that we do, who we are and what we do. As I said, we run multiple workforce programs that targets young adults and adult dislocated workers and adult job seekers. Our board, we have 23 members. Part of our board is private sector led, private sector majority, and they really provide us a really good perspective regarding the needs of our business community. So the bulk of what we do is we try to connect the supply and the demand through the work that we do through our board. So we try to get together, we try to explore the needs of our business community and connecting them to some of the other board members and connecting them to the education providers in order for us to be able to kind of connect the dots. Part of what the board does is they approve policy, they approve service providers for all of our programs, they approve our budget, they're the ones that provide a lot of the strategic guidance for the work that we do. We do a lot of convening, we do a lot of connecting a lot of the dots around the county. So I want to talk briefly about the board composition and who our board members are. So I'm going to show you a picture of all of our board members. So we went, as of a month ago, from having a board of 14 board members to having a board of 23 members. Yes, that's what I said. Yes. So the state and the federal government, they have a requirement, a membership requirement for who's on our board. And as I said at the beginning, it needs to be private sector led, private sector majority, have unions on our board. We are required to have education institutions, education providers. So for many years, we were short members, and because of COVID, we were not able to recruit. So as of last month, we have been able to finally be in compliance with the requirements of the federal government regarding the composition of our board. So a lot of our board members, all of our board members are decision makers within their different organizations. Private sector members represent our industry sectors. And as I said at the beginning, they really provide a lot of the strategic guidance and connectivity to the work that we do on the other end, which is with the job seekers. I'm going to skip this one for now. I'll come back. And I'm going to skip this one for now. So this is the structure that we're in. So the governor determines the local areas, and we, Santa Barbara County, as a county, we are at the local area for this part. We have 45 boards around the state, and we have 14 regional planning units. So our regional planning unit, we're together with SLO, and we're called the South Central Coast Regional Planning Unit. So we're together with SLO. Ventura, they're their own RPU, their own regional planning unit, but we do a lot of work together with SLO. We have a lot of similarity regarding some of the struggles that our job seeker has, and we have a really good relationship with them. So the governor selects the area. They also select who the grant recipient for the area is going to be. In this case, is the county of Santa Barbara. So selecting the area and selecting the county, I won't say force us, but they force us to work together. So we are under the county. We are county employees. The county in turn select a fiscal agent. In our case, it's the Department of Social Services. They're the fiscal agent. They approve all of our contracts. They provide fiscal management support that we need. And they provide a lot of the IT and a lot of the housing things that we have within the department. For our board, so our board, as I said at the beginning, they approve policy. Me as a director, I have the day-to-day responsibilities to really oversee the department and make sure that the programs that we support, the programs that we run, are actually running effectively and efficiently. So, any questions? We're gonna go into the fun stuff, I promise, and that's gonna be Julie. And there you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to share with you, this is really the meat of what we do at the Workforce Board. We can't function without everything that Luis mentioned, but this is really where we get into serving community members, our students, our dislocated workers. So I want to start off with just sharing where we provide these services. So our centers are actually called the America's Job Centers of California. So the acronym is AJCC. It's challenging right now. We're having a little bit of an identity crisis as our buildings don't say that. So within the next year, we're doing some work on rebranding and making sure that our centers are recognizable to our community members. So if you'll see on the picture on the left, that's our Santa Barbara office. We share that office with EDD, so the Employment Development Department. It is actually an EDD building, so we rent some space there. They're one of our partners, and so that is where we do most of our work in Santa Barbara. The other office that we have is the picture on the right, Workforce Resource Center. That is the county building. So we are co-located with other partners, EDD as well. We work with our community colleges that have some space in there. But that is primarily where we provide our services in the north part of the county. You'll see on the right-hand side, we have program operators that provide direct job seeker services. So the county does not, with the exception of one project, provide anything directly. We operate all of our, or we outsource, we contract all of our projects with other local organizations. So you'll see on the right-hand side, those are 3 locations of Goodwill Industries of Ventura and Santa Barbara counties. And they actually are our youth program operators. So they provide direct youth job seeker services at their 3 locations, one in Santa Barbara, one in Lompoc, and then one in Santa Maria. The great thing about the locations in Santa Maria and Lompoc is they actually have designated youth centers. So we all know with Santa Barbara, the space is really limited. So unfortunately, they don't have space for a youth center out here. But in the northern part of Santa Barbara County, they have centers that are designated just to providing services for our youth. Okay, and then I'm going to share about the actual programs and the services we provide. So the first slide talks about the services that we provide for our local employers and businesses. I won't go through everything, but essentially we have a business services strategist staff who connects with our employers, our businesses that have some type of in the workforce. A lot of times, as you'll see on here, rapid response, that's when a business is going to close or they're having a significant layoff. So what our team does is we rapidly respond and we gather resources and we head to them and say, is there any way that our services can prevent layoffs? If no, then how can we help your workers that are being laid off? So we have EDD in the building with us. We have other programs that will get them connected to either finding new jobs or helping them apply for unemployment insurance. So that's kind of what we do with the rapid response part of we also help employers or businesses that are seeking to hire. So during COVID, we know that that was a big need. So what we did is we developed online kind of job fairs now that the restrictions are off and we have more flexibility. We participate in state street job fairs. We hold job fairs in coordination with other agencies and organizations to make sure that we're hitting each part of the county. So recruitment services, that's a big part of what we do also. So you'll see business engagement, networking, bringing people together, outreach efforts, but really we're listening to the needs of the employers and we're going to help and respond to what they need. So here are, you'll see in the PowerPoint, I think there's about 3 or 4 different pages that lists all of the actual programs that are for our job seekers. So like Luis mentioned, we normally operate our Title I program, which is our adult dislocated worker program, and then our youth program. So that's something that you will go to any workforce board and they will have that project up and running. Um, our adult and dislocated worker program is just that. It's essentially any adult or someone that has been dislocated from their job. It's providing them with opportunities to go back to school, to learn new skills. We also have something that's called on the job training where we work with employers, and if they have a job available, we kind of come in and say, hey, we will pay up to 50 or 60% of the person's wages while you train them, and then you retain them as a permanent employee. So that's what our adult and dislocated worker program really focuses on. Our youth program, we serve youth 16 to 24 years old. And we really serve any youth that has any barrier or challenge to gaining employment, to entering post secondary education. We work with students that are in school that have barriers to meeting their goals. And we provide a really wide range of kind of wraparound services. So it's not just job readiness and getting them prepared for a job, but it's really making sure they have any type of behavior wellness support, financial literacy, mentoring, paid work experience. That's one of the big things is they're essentially paid internships where we can place students at an employer and then they gain work experience where we cover 100% of the wages. And then I'll mention for both of these, we offer what's called supportive services. So we know times are really tough right now. We have families that are barely making ends meet. And so supportive services is really an amazing thing that we can provide to participants, not just the students and the adults, but when we provide those, it makes a really big impact on the family and the household itself. So supportive services is really anything that they need to reach their goals, to continue working, to finish school, finish their training program. So it can range from a bus pass, a gas card, interview clothing, work tools, books for school. So anything really that will make them reach their goals is something that we can provide through supportive services. So I won't go through each of these in detail because you can tell I can talk forever and I love what I do. So, but what I want to say is you can see, all the specifics in the PowerPoint, but we, like Luis mentioned, have gone after funding to make sure that we have money to support the needs of our community members. So we serve not only our adult and youth community members, but we really have a program for everyone that is out here seeking services to get back into the workforce. So we have a program that serves students with disabilities. We actually have a really amazing program in partnership with the sheriff's office called Pathway Home 2, where we are in the jails providing pre-release services. So our case managers and our staff are in there. They're as immersed as you can imagine, providing job ready financial literacy mentoring while they're incarcerated, and then providing services to them as they transition out into the community. So that's a really great project. We have projects that are in response to the COVID-19 and all of those challenges. We're focusing on English language learners. So we all know during COVID, the huge digital divide where people not only did not have the hardware, but they had no idea how to use computer or Zoom or schedule an appointment online. So a lot of those COVID-19 programs that we're still operating really respond to those needs. And then I think the last program that I'll highlight is our Farm Worker Resource Center. So we, in coordination with the County of Santa Barbara, we received a farm worker grant that is supporting the farm workers in our community. And so the real program design around there is just getting our farm workers connected. So we're not necessarily providing direct services yet, we're really a liaison to other programs in the community. So we have an amazing, I wish we had a picture, but we have an amazing mobile center. We'll have to plug our website so you can go to our farm worker page. But we essentially not us, but we reconstructed a van. So it's a mobile office on wheels with the intent to make sure our services are accessible to all of the farm workers in our community and their families. So it's been a huge success. The van is really, really cool. You step in and there's space to have private conversations. There's really neat things in there like a refrigerator and a space for people to wash their hands, because you can imagine the population we're serving. So I hope you'll find some time to check it out. But that is, it's been a really great success. We've had really positive relationships with the agriculture employers and the businesses. And so for both sides, it's been really positive. And then, so those are all our great projects that we're doing with the board. So I hope you take some time to read them and really see exactly what they're all about.
Thank you. So she's getting presented. That's why I have her present instead of me. In addition to all of our programs and projects that Julie mentioned, we also have these what we call board priorities. So our board last year met and discussed ways that we could internally do a better job, but also externally kind of do different things. To highlight a couple of things, for example, we're going to start doing what we're calling convening, mapping, and other recommendations from our board was there is duplication in the community regarding similar programs that are happening. So one of the recommendations was or is let's map what they call the ecosystem. Let's figure out who's doing what so that way we could potentially prevent duplication. Number two, let's convene them. Let's get together and figure out how we could actually work together. Sarah just started, by the way. I've been talking to her a lot about getting her help on the steering committee that is going to be putting together these groups and these convening events that we're planning. We're also, as of last month, we started our workforce intelligence, labor market, state of the workforce study. So we are required to do a workforce study every 3 years, and last one we did was back in 2018. That study really provides a lot of the foundation for our focus, our industry sectors that we want our programs to focus on. So that is currently underway. The researcher that we hire is going to be reaching out to a lot of community-based organizations, employers, a lot of leaders in the community to really get good tips. But that's another one of priorities that we're currently working on. So again, I'm not going to cover every single one of them, but just wanted to highlight that we are doing a lot and we're trying, and we're a brand new leadership team, so we're trying to do our best to really touch and make sure that we do a good job at connecting the dots. So that's the presentation. Any questions?
Did we ask questions?
Of course.
So, I mean, Veterans Day is coming up, so I'll ask, how integrated are you with other veterans job programs out there? Or maybe is that one of the areas of duplication you're trying to avoid?
No, that's a really great question. So at one point we had, I think it was a couple years ago, we had a veterans grant where we served veterans, spouses of veterans. And unfortunately, there hasn't been a lot of funding that has come out that we would be eligible to apply for. But yes, we operated that project through Goodwill, who has a veteran center in their offices. So we make it a priority to, even though we don't have funding specific for veterans, we serve veterans through all of the other projects that we have. We work closely with EDD that has veteran programs in their North County part of the office. And I was actually in Santa Barbara today, and I heard them talking about they just hired a new veterans staff person that will focus on providing nothing but services to our veterans. So although we don't specifically have a project that funds services for veterans, we are connected with all of them. We sit on the Veterans Collaborative that just came to fruition a couple years ago during COVID. We participate in the stand down. Supervisor Lavanino used to be one of our board members, so we're very well connected with still being able to provide services.
And all of our programs have what they call the priority of services. So one of them, the priority number one is serving veterans. So if we have multiple candidates that come into the program, they get the to go in front of the line.
If I can ask the second question.
Of course.
Our homeless population, obviously a big concern in the county. This usually means jobless also. Do y'all play a part in helping out with the overall homeless, jobless population?
Do you want to talk about CC and the work groups?
Yeah. So we're part of a group that the county has put together to discuss the various issues with homelessness. We are part of the group that targets employment related services. A lot of our programs also target the homeless population. Obviously it's a complex situation, and we're hoping to do more in the future. But most of our programs have that requirement or component that they also get priority of services once the operators start interacting with them.
Yeah, and we have housing insecure homeless participants that are on our caseloads. And part of the way that, within our kind of strict, our restrictions with the funding and all of that stuff, we are able to provide like rental assistance. So someone that is enrolled into our program that receives really, and we call them individualized services. So basically that means you have a case manager. We can provide them with rental assistance. So the great thing, I won't say great thing, but one of the positive things that happened during COVID was the amount of funding that came out just to help with rental assistance to make sure people weren't losing the housing that they already had secured. It's not a ton of funding, but we really do what we can within our limits to be able to help prevent someone from getting on the street. I know we have a lot going on, but that's something that we've talked about also internally as one of our goals, is to really target those families that are kind of in that transition period. So the tiny homes and dignity moves and those kind of things that are happening, we really want to get connected so that we can help those people as they transition get the skills that they need and they're not back on the streets. But yeah, I mean that's something that's a big goal of ours, is to really navigate and make an impact on that part of it.
That was going to be a question, is are you involved with the Village of Hope and Dignity Moves up in North County?
Yes.
Because one of the goals of that program is that the people who live there while they're there get jobs and are able then to take care of themselves and provide housing for themselves when they leave. So
Yeah, exactly. And if you read, you'll find one of the projects. It's titled Career. One of the initiatives under that project was to develop access points throughout the community. So
okay.
you saw we just have centers in Santa Barbara and Santa Maria. We're also working on getting some space in Lompoc, so we can serve Mid County. But that is what we're trying to do, is get into these underserved communities so they have access to our services. And those organizations is really something that we're moving towards.
Right.
With the staffing and managing all these things, but we're making it a priority to make sure we make time, connect, and really be there, because really it's the perfect setting, especially with Dignity Moves. And yeah.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about your operating budget and how it's broken down. If you have a budget specifically for our youth for age 16 to 24, and how you keep, is there data to show about the number of youth that you serve? Is that available?
Yes, it is. As you know, with federal, state related programs and services, they mandate us to have data. So we definitely need data. So our youth services, we get a yearly allocation. Our yearly allocation for both the adult dislocated worker program and youth is about $3 million. For the youth, it's about $1.1 million. So it's about $1 million of funding that we get every year. And that's not counting like the STEPS program, which also serves high school age students with disabilities. But yeah, for our youth services, our budget is about $1 million that we get every year. For the last 5 years, it's gone from 1.8 to right now it's about $1 million. And we are anticipating that it's going to continue to shrink. The way that the state has done budget has been that they have shrunk the yearly allocation, but they have had competitive grants available, which are the ones that we've applied to. A lot of times with the state, they'll put out a solicitation for a $200,000 grant, or a $300,000 grant, which is it's difficult to apply to because just the work that it takes to put a solution, as you know, together, and running a program for 200,000 for 12 months is just not realistic. So we know that at the state level, they're trying to do a lot of work to really consolidate a lot of these different grants, because it really takes a toll on us as staff to be having to have different grants as opposed to having just one grant that targets multiple populations. For us, that would be great. For the last year, my department went from having 10 staff to having just 3 of us. So we've been operating with really skeleton crew for the last year. Last month, we were finally able to fill the vacancies. So that's why we're here. I know Susan had been asking me for the last couple of months. I'm like, maybe next month, maybe next month. So we're finally here. And we hear there's a lot of room for improvement, and we're trying to do our best. I'm a native Lompoc resident, so I feel dearly for our community and making sure that we bring funding and we bring opportunities. Every time we have a grant, we have a discussion, do we apply? And the answer is that we will. Even if we don't have the staff, we have to be able to bring those fundings to our community because we have a need. We have a great need with our different populations. So.
Easiest question of the day, I think. The acronym you may have said this, but I missed it. Looking back, WIOA program. What is WIOA?
It's Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act.
Got it.
Yeah, government loves acronyms, so.
First of all, I just want to say thank you both for that presentation. I wasn't aware of this organization, so just learning about all of the different programs that you offer to the community. There's a great depth to the programs and reach, so to be able to do that with one organization, and especially with the skeleton crew, I can imagine requires a lot for every individual in the team. The question that I had in terms of the different programs, the eligibility, and I know that some eligibility changes depending on the program and the funding that you have for specific programs. But I guess to maybe switch it, is there ever a time when participants or possible participants might be turned away because they don't meet eligibility?
I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years, so I think one time out of the 15 years, we maybe found someone that really didn't have the need. But, you know, kind of a broad eligibility, what I could share is that if you have, you know, if you're between the age group, so if you're 15 through, you know, adult age, you have the right to work, and you have some type of barrier to employment, then we can fit you in somewhere. We can make you eligible for any of our programs. Because that really is, if you look at all of the eligibility requirements, you have to be a Santa Barbara County resident, right to work, and then have some need to, you need some help getting back workforce, you need some skills, then we can pretty much fit you in any of our projects. So yeah, I mean, and that's one of the other challenging things that we're trying to work on is there's so much, and so we don't want people to be overwhelmed or our community members to be overwhelmed and not know where they fit in. And so we're trying to develop, you know, some efficiency processes where a person can just walk in and say, I need this, and then we determine what program they're eligible for, so that there aren't any, you know, delay in receiving services.
Well, I definitely appreciate the idea of mapping to reduce any kind of redundancies and then the convening. I feel like there's always ways to increase that. The last question I had is, do you have an estimate or an idea of approximately how many community members your program serves? Approximately?
The last time I did the math throughout the special grants and projects, we have, as of right now, if I take a snapshot of the number of vacancies positions that we have for all these programs, it's over 1,000. It's about 1,200 positions throughout the different programs that we have. And the thing with the grants is that they all start and end at different periods of time. That's why I say it's snapshot right now, because we have various programs that are going to be ending this year. Julie is working on new grants. But yeah, right now it's over 1,000 positions that we have. Mhm. And just to clarify, there's 1,000 positions now through our centers. We usually per year we serve about 20 to 25,000 people. Typically, those are the community members are coming in to seek help with unemployment, paid family leave. So the great thing about being co-located with DDD is that we're right there next to them, and we're able to kind of pull them and say, "Oh, if you're needing employment assistance, let me find you a program."
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. We've all learned quite a bit about something that I don't think was on our radar. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very
having us.
much.
Thank you.
And now, Dr. Salcido, would you like to give your overview of your superintendent's report?
I would be very glad to, and good afternoon again. I just want to make sure that Sarah and Luis and Julie, thank you again so much. I know that we know that you might have to exit, but wanted to say thank you as you do. Okay, very pleased to provide you the superintendent's report. And this month, I'll just stop along the way for just a few of the items. And then if you have any questions, be so glad to answer those for you. I'll start with the very, after the chart of numbers, the School Safety Symposium. 3 days, a really great success if measured by the multiple different agencies that were all in the room and full in the room here in the auditorium. And a huge thanks to the County of Santa Barbara, Sheriff Bill Brown, and to County Fire Chief Mark Hartwig, who all contributed to the to support the cost of the days, so that the cost to participants were zero, which was really, really great. They've also been super instrumental in just supporting and endorsing this county-wide work to really ensure that we have smooth communications across our school districts and law enforcement, and really support all of our students and staff and families to feel safe as they go to school. One of the areas that the County Education Office has invested in is a school safety liaison. Not to take the place of a school resource deputy or somebody that you pull from a school immediately, but somebody who both agencies, I should say both realms, school people and law enforcement people say, boy, this would be a huge help if we could have somebody to support that liaising. So I wanted to introduce him to you and you to him today. Dennis Thomas, if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium, that'd be great. Dennis will share a little bit about himself. 22 years in the Sheriff's Department, most recently from Lompoc as a school resource deputy, and here on the job for 2 weeks-ish, maybe less, take her plus or minus a couple of days, and has already just, gosh, his experience alone has been so instrumental to support us. So Dennis, welcome to the County Board of Education meeting. If you say a few words about yourself.
Sure.
Great.
Well, Susan mentioned most of the stuff I was going to say, so sorry, I'm going to repeat some of it. Good afternoon. I just wanted to say how grateful I am to be the school safety liaison and be a part of this great organization. And just a little bit of personal about me. I live in Napoma with my wife, Jennifer. We've been married for 27 years. We have 3 children who grew up in Lompoc. They are all currently married, and I have 4 grandchildren, all of which they all came from Cabrillo High School. So they married their high school sweethearts. And I did retire just about 2 weeks ago from the Sheriff's Department after 2 plus years. And while I was at the Sheriff's Department, I served a number of different roles. I did some patrol, I did detectives, I did narcotics detectives, I did civil, and then the last 5 years I was in the school district working as the school resource deputy at Cabrillo Maple High School. And I just, now that I'm in my second week of being here at SPCO, I just look forward to getting to know everybody, learning my position, and being that resource for the districts, the schools, and the emergency response system. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it. Welcome. So Dennis, we'll be meeting all the superintendents. He will be meeting all the superintendents on Monday, and then just today, we met with Under Sheriff Craig Bonner, and we're talking about the ways in which Dennis, who already knows the individuals in the sheriff's department, but now we'll be going out with the other jurisdictions to really get to know them so that they know he's here for a resource. But he's definitely starting to say, boy, there's a lot to do. Where do we begin? And it's just really exciting to have him on board. All right, so the Student Advisory Council, second year, we just started. We had a first in-person meeting last Saturday. You'll recall that we had students last year attend, and we were getting input from some of those members. And one of the ways they said, would be helpful is a few more meetings, and how about in person? And so that's how we designed it. 21 students from around the county, Santa Maria, Orchid, Lompoc, San Ynez, Santa Barbara Unified School Districts are all participating. We have an individual for continuation school as well. So excited about that. And we met on Saturday and had a surprise visitor, not surprise to us, but surprise to them. Senator Limon came towards the end of the day. It was really lovely for her for them to meet. And she was talking about having been in a student advisory council role when she was a student. And, you too can be a senator, just going and working, advocating. So it was really lovely to be together. So just wanted to let you know we started, and in some ways we'll ensure that we integrate with the county board. You've talked about salute to teachers. I will say Deborah Hood wanted to make sure that you saw that she's departed our organization. Incredible individual. Wow. I mean, just a person who is so compassionate, loyal, is all about being an ambassador, not only for SBCEO, but I think was a true ambassador of the Santa Maria Valley and North County. So we just so appreciate Deborah Hood. We'll go to the curriculum and instruction division side to say that the bilingual authorization program, that is a new fourth now accredited program for SBCEO, the first one in California, first county office in California. And I might ask Ellen to say just a few words about that. Actually, why don't you come onto the podium and say words about the bilingual authorization, because I want to make sure the board members know what it's for, who it's for, and why it's important. So Ellen, thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, it's on. So Dr. Carlos Pagan has been instrumental in expanding the number of dual language programs across our county. And in doing so, we recognize the need that we have in-service teachers, credentialed teachers who are bilingual but do not have their bilingual authorization on their credential. And so this bilingual authorization program, which we started the application and the process 18 months ago, and the CTC accredited it on the 26th. What it allows us to do is provide the training and the fieldwork support for teachers who are already credentialed but want to then work in our dual language programs. We currently have some teachers who are in our dual language programs who are on emergency credentials. So it really fills a need in our area. And we already have people signed up for the first cohort that starts at the end of the school year. So they can earn their authorization within 1 year. So we're very excited about it and just really appreciate the chance to bring attention to it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll say, in moving forward, that I was at Fitzgerald Community School last week, and the teaching staff were collecting the parent permission slips to go to what you saw in the NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory for the first time on, let's see, it'll be Monday. Very excited. I'll want to come back and report back. Hopefully we'll get great photos, but what an awesome opportunity to have field trips for our students, and something like this is just a chance of a lifetime. So very exciting there too. We'll end by saying that next month we will come back. Board member DeWord had requested a presentation by Partners in Education. So Partners in Education will come in December for the county board meeting as well. So let me stop there and see if there's any questions from you. Oh, we have, okay.
Regarding the student enrollment numbers, I noticed on the very last line, special ed preschool.
Mhm.
In July, it was 746, and now it's 502, and I calculated a 34% drop.
Mhm.
So, and then my second part is, I think it would be helpful to see maybe year by year too, to have, just to give an idea, because this is giving us month to month. So maybe if we had like year end, June
Yeah,
2023, 22 or 20, and then
Yeah,
go
comparison.
back like 3 years so we can compare
Yeah.
how we are in enrollment.
sounds great. Happy
Okay.
to do that. And I think we'll go back as far as we started because I think I started with the table about maybe a little over a year ago. So let me go back to where we started and do that annual comparison for you. And then Kirsten Escobedo's here and she can tell you about that shift between July and then August, September, October, just so that you have you've got the math on there, but let's see the rationale for what happened. Kirsten, would you mind coming to the podium, please? Thank you.
So we are continuously assessing children as they turn 3. Children ages 0 to 3 who have received services as infants with disabilities. We're required by law to assess them to determine if they're eligible to receive services over age 3. There are different eligibility criteria between 0 to 3 and over age 3. And with the preschool population, what is reflected in the chart are the number of students who transition out of our preschool services and on to either TK or kindergarten. And so that significant drop in the number of students represents those that have gone on to be served in districts outside of Santa Barbara County Education Office. That answer the question? Yes. So what you should expect to see is a similar pattern every year. Our numbers will continue to grow up through the end of June. And based on the numbers so far this year, we expect that we're on a similar trajectory as last year, and then drop off as the students transition out.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Kirsten.
Sure.
Mr. Porter, I think you had a question.
Yeah,
Or comment.
just some comments. First of all, Deborah Hood, so gracious and always so welcoming. We will miss her.
Yes.
So I hope we get a chance to wish her well.
Yes.
I think we lost our former sheriff's deputy, but school resource officers so powerful. I've seen that in the district, and I'm glad to see in this county that's a thriving enterprise, unlike some parts of California. So thank you for your support for that.
Thank you.
And finally, grumpy school board member
Okay.
notices LCAP expanding by 15 additional state requirements. So is the LCAP even useful anymore? I mean, do we have some poor person grinding in every school district and
Even
an
the
SB
posture,
CEO?
even the posture
It's
has
like,
changed.
it's like it was so great when it started, and now it's turned into this giant Wikipedia size.
It is pretty
Medusa.
lumpy. Yeah, it is pretty lumpy. I will speak to Mr. Porter while comes up to the podium again on the LCAP because we've got some big changes, as you mentioned. I do want to say to your comment about Dennis Thomas having been a school resource deputy, one of the areas that we want to ensure that he focuses on is convening the other school resource deputies across the county as a formal huddle, huddling by Zoom even, just to say what are some of the cross themes that are occurring. And we know that if an incident occurs at one school, families and community members often are from different parts of the county. It's really important to coordinate and understand what's happening. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you for that. Ellen?
So I will try to explain in a few brief categories what the changes are. And the LCAP is always on a 3-year cycle, and this is the start of a new 3-year cycle. But to your point, we've had LCAP for 10 years, and this is the 9th iteration of the template. And so, but this one, some of them are actually quite good. So one has to do with the definition of English learners, also now including long-term English learners, and our districts being more explicit to attend to both of those needs. There are several things that are related to the effectiveness of actions and requiring a little bit more connection between the effectiveness of the actions and the metrics. And then there were also some new funds. So with new purses come new strings, and they have to do with they added an equity multiplier, which is additional funds for certain schools, and they so that there has to be elements that there's educational partner input specifically for those schools. And then the last one is about reducing the redundancies and combining pieces. So it's a new requirement, but it actually tightens up the LCAP itself in a couple of places. So thank you for noticing.
Appreciate it. Thank you for explaining in the way you did. Any additional comments or questions? Yes, Ms. Herman.
I did have a question about the bilingual authorization accreditation program. So for teachers, sorry, you might have to maybe you can answer from your chair. I almost was like, please don't leave. You're gonna have to come up. So do teachers have to be completely bilingual to start the accreditation program, or could they be like intermediate Spanish speakers from you?
We have support for that too. So there's two parts of them. There's the coursework and the fieldwork, and then there is the proficiency. And so they show the proficiency through an assessment called the CSET, and we also offer support for that CSET and for the development of their academic bilingualism as well.
I love your enthusiasm. I mean,
we all do. Absolutely.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much for allowing me to provide
Jill?
this report.
anything? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Then we have our consent agenda with our minutes, registration of credentials, declaration of surplus, and issuance of high school diplomas. Do we have any? We have a move?
The autobiography.
Right.
Oh, sorry about that. I can send it
Okay.
now.
So I'm just wondering how necessary. I know the tradition is they always give us the autobiography, which is great. Technically speaking, do we need to have it? But I'm assuming we don't need to have it in order to approve the diploma.
You don't need to have it. You're welcome to, well, it would be helpful to have the student, the diploma be approved, but we'd be glad to send you the letter.
Right.
Yes.
I'll move approval to the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you. I'll second. Thank you, Michelle. And any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Okay, and now we have some more action items. The first is the recommendation for appointment to the Personnel Commission. And this is a reappointment of our current representative, Michael Osteen, who unfortunately was not able to be here with us today. And Dr. Salcido, would you like to add anything to this agenda item?
Well, I will thank for Mike Ostini, and Amy Ramos serves as the point person for the Personnel Commission. So feel free to let me know if there's something you'd like to important for me to add, Amy. But Mike Ostini is just a tremendous, actually wonderful personnel commissioner, having had been a classified employee at SBCO for a long time. Really looks out for how we are supporting our classified staff, making sure that our rules are followed and the procedures. He's one of 3 members. This is the member that's appointed by the CSEA, Classified Association. And we're really delighted to bring this forward to the board for approval, for your consideration. Thank you. I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 16 is the recommendation adoption of a resolution to enter agreements with the California Department of Education for Early Care and Educational Services for the 24-25 fiscal year. This is an annual action that we have to take, so this is not a unique requirement or action. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. A second? Thank you. Any discussion? And roll call.
Okay, Mrs. DeWert,
Aye.
Ms. Ehrman,
Aye.
Mrs. Frost,
Aye.
Mr. Howell,
Aye.
Mr. Porter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And likewise, number 17, recommendation of adoption of the resolution to enter the agreement with the California Department of Social Services for early care and education for fiscal year 24 and 25.
I'll move.
Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion pass. Oh, roll call.
Okay, Mrs. DeWert,
Aye.
Ms. Ehrman,
Aye.
Mrs. Frost,
Aye.
Mr. Howell,
Aye.
and Mr. Porter.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And item number 18 is the reimbursement expenses for board members to attend the CSBA Annual Education Conference, December of this year. It's November 30th and December 1st and 2nd. Do I have a motion
I'll make that motion.
and a second? Discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. And number 19 has to do with part of that, an event that's going to be part of that convention. And that's on December 1st, the CCBE general membership is going to be held at the conference. And we need to consider to select a board member to be our voting representative or not. As far as I know at this time, Michelle is going. And is anyone else attending? So the question would be, would Michelle be approved as our voting member for that meeting?
Can you be?
Yes.
Given your office.
We
Okay.
got it.
Okay, great.
All right. All those in favor of selecting, oh, I didn't get a motion to select Michelle as our voting member.
I'll move.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then we have our standard information items like the personnel report, the Williams Legislation School District report, and then we have another annual presentation. In your board packet, you found a list of our current 2023 board committee assignments. And I am asking you if you would please let me know within the next week, not today, but starting tomorrow, let me know if you would be happy to stay on the same committee or if you want to change committees. And if you could please do that by email, so I'll have a written copy to remember who said what. The governance committee will be meeting in a couple of weeks and we want to have this input for them to be able to consider it. So, any questions about that? All right, hearing none. our last,
Madam Chair, just
Oh,
one
yes.
more consideration. You definitely covered it on the committee assignments.
yes.
I think an additional area of consideration that you might want to be
Oh,
asking the
that's
board
right.
has to do with anyone who might want to seek the role of chair or president or vice chair the next year. So that would be something else that you
Yes.
probably would like to ask.
Yes.
And then a third area, just for information, is that in December, since it is the board organization meeting, we'll be coming back to you also with considerations for the board calendar, the meeting dates. And I do recall the conversation that the board had around additional dates in Santa Maria. So you'll see that reflected
Okay.
next time. as
Yes,
well.
so please, if you are interested in being considered for the chair or vice chair for next year, please include that in your email with your committee feedback. And I think it's important that we know that there is no set policy or really established procedure for who becomes chair or vice chair. This isn't like a steps where you do this and you do that. So I just say that to clear the air to make sure everyone is aware that anyone is, for the purpose of saying anyone can let us know if you would be interested in being chair or vice chair. It's not limited. Okay, and the last item is the organizational chart. Wow. This is amazing. Very helpful indeed.
Great.
And Anna, do you think that we can get one with the top section with the photos like you did for me before? Just the top part. That'd be great.
And just, excuse my
Mhm.
interruption here, but
No.
that information is also on our website.
Yes.
And the organization chart is on the website as well. Happy to get you that chart though, so that you have a copy of it.
We had a few changes in that chart last year, so it would help to have a new one. Okay, and future agenda items, Dr. Salcido has already mentioned that our December meeting, we will be addressing the partners in education, or we will have a presentation on partners in education. Okay. Any other comments about the future agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for adjournment. Everybody's
moved.
looking at their clock going, what? So
I'll
moved.
second.
Yeah, can we talk about something else? I think I heard Mr. Howell make a motion.
A motion with the applause to the chair for her efficiency.
Crack that whip. Do I have a second? Bruce doesn't want to leave.
It's too much fun here.
You can stay after if you'd like, you know. All right, I will, any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? No? Okay. And the motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you very, very much, everybody.